Hello and welcome to Tyrannus Gaming. Today we'll be taking a look at Gara, not to be confused with the Naruto character that nobody seems to remember. Let's go ahead and get started. We will be using 20 times Corrupted Lancers. It will be Steel Path, the AI will be paused while I explain what's going on. The enemy level will be 140. Now let's go ahead and begin. Gara's passive ability gives a chance to create a radial blind lasting 10 seconds when exposed to bright light. This means that if she's chilling in her living room and somebody decides to pop a flashbang into her house, that she will simply turn around and flash them back, stunning them for approximately 10 seconds, allowing her to escape or return fire. Gara's number 1 ability is known as Shattered Lash. This is what it looks like. It'll do puncture damage, hitting up to 3 targets, and can be cast while she's reloading. If you hold down the number 1 button, she will simply two-hand a long sword, tossing these people around like ragdolls. She cannot use this while reloading, but if the enemy is on the ground, it'll give you a 2-second window to start running away. Gara's number 2 ability is known as Splinter Storm. If we face our cursor away from the enemy and cast it, it'll give us 20 seconds of 70% damage reduction. When combined with her shields, which have a natural 50% damage reduction, this can mean the difference between life and death. And if you walk near the enemy during this duration, you'll notice that it pushes them away and does a bit of damage. This is very useful if you need to charge through a room and you don't actually want to stop to fight them. This is also very useful for those of you who are antisocial and want to make sure the enemy can't come anywhere near you first. So what you would do is simply point at the enemy and cast it on them instead. It's a pretty straightforward ability, but it pretty much creates a glass blender, and we all know how fun those are. I would also point out that while this ability is active on an enemy, it will create a 35% damage vulnerability on him. So let's go ahead and shoot one guy before it, and then one guy after. You'll notice that our overpowered Brayton here didn't do much damage at all. But if we go ahead and cast our number 2 on him, you'll notice that he took a heck of a lot more damage. Gara's number 3 ability is known as Spectrorage. This is what it looks like. It spawns roughly around 12 mirrors depending on your range. The enemies will run inside, shoot the mirrors, build up damage, and collapse each and individual one. And when they collapse, we'll return all that damage back to them. But this doesn't really mean much when the enemy has 99.99999% damage reduction, as it means even with 1,000,000 damage, they'll still only receive 9 damage. As I said, I'm not good at math. But hey, these mirrors act as a taunting effect, so feel free to toss them down in front of the enemy and run like hell, while they're busy looking at pictures of themselves. Gara's number 4 ability is known as Mass Vitrify. This is what it looks like. The first thing that may not be obvious is that all these enemies are pretty much frozen in place between 10 and 20 seconds. This may not seem like a long duration, but it is long enough to point at the enemy and get a few headshots in while they're standing here looking pretty. And as you may have noticed, that under the brief duration of this, the enemy will not stagger while you're shooting them in the face. This means that you can do exponential damage to each individual target you strike. Mixed with her number 2 ability cast on the individual target, you could do absolutely banana damage with even a default and stock Brayton, which I am totally using right now. This wall right here has multiple segments, and if they destroy the north section, it will be unaffected by the east, south, and west sections, basically meaning that if you have a breach in the north, the other three sides are perfectly safe if you have a stunted Grenier bashing into the wall and doing no damage. And if you simply don't like the Grenier, if you use her number 3 ability and they shatter the shields, or the mirrors, while they're inside of it, it will build up the damage that this wall can do. Now you may be asking yourself, but Tyrannus, Gara's walls can't do damage. That would be absolutely insane. A wall can't do damage. Well, my dear viewer, this is what happens when you use her number 1 ability on a wall. Shocking, I know. Now, dear viewer, this is the part of the video where I demonstrate the practical sense on how to apply Gara's abilities. I will let you know, with full transparency, that I am in fact using a Brayton Prime. This Brayton Prime does in fact have an Incarnate Genesis form attached to it. For those of you that don't know, if you complete Duviri, you will get access to Duviri Circuit, which allows you to ascend some of your weapons to become obscenely powerful with special abilities. I know, it's absolutely crazy. Now let's go ahead and demonstrate. As you can see, just the mere act of freezing them in place allows you to get free headshots, and it prevents them from really applying their damage reduction. Do not underestimate crowd control, as enemies that are standing still are not shooting at you, and if they're not shooting at you, they're not doing any damage to you. I hope you all learned something new today, and I'm going to demonstrate what the Incarnate form can do on these weapons to motivate you to complete Duviri. So I hope you have fun, as I'm going to end the video shortly after exposing the proper way and the fun way to use a Brayton Prime. And that is why you should complete Duviri.
I tried to tell her I couldn't do better. She doesn't listen, 'cause she read the letter. Pain in my eyes, she's driving real fast. The engineer's crazy, this train's off the tracks. She is a weapon, brighter than heaven. Curves like a sword, a shark in the water.